I'd like to call this meeting of the Brick Township Council to order. Madam Clerk?
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on January 7, 2020. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thanks for participating in tonight's Township Council meeting. The COVID-19 pandemic prevents us from meeting in the traditional way, but we have adjusted accordingly so that we can continue to conduct the business of the Township and serve our residents. This meeting is available through the Zoom application, where you can see and hear tonight's meeting and participate during all public comment periods as you would if we were here all together in person. To ask a question or comment, please click on your device and a bar will appear on the bottom of your screen. One of the icons posted there is a Raise Your Hand button. Click that to indicate you have a question. We can see that on our end and we'll call on people one at a time. Questions and comments are also welcome by email. The address is publicmeetingquestions@bricktownship.net. That is publicmeetingquestions@bricktownship.net. We are checking that email throughout the meeting and will read those questions into the minutes and respond accordingly. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Councilman Minikino.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Present.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Vice President Halloran.
Here.
President Crate.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll have a salute to the flag and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, can I get a motion and second for the approval of minutes of the April 28th meeting?
Councilman Mumolo, motion.
Councilman Halloran, second.
Okay. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
If there is a spike,
Councilwoman Pontorero.
that's great. That's because we would hope not.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of people.
Vice
that don't like
President Halloran. President, that was him?
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are on to the consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Before we begin, I just want to make note that Resolution 6-2, amend Chapter 245, has been pulled for further review by the Land Use Committee. We are going to start with Resolution 4-1.
Recognize National Emergency Medical Services Week.
Thank you. This resolution recognizes May 17th through 23rd as an Emergency Medical Services Week, and this year's theme is EMS Strong, Ready Today. The COVID-19 crisis has underscored the bravery and dedication of the men and women who serve as emergency medical technicians here in Brick Township. We are grateful for their knowledge, experience, and commitment to our residents today and every day. Resolution 4-2.
Authorized cancellation of stale dated checks, municipal court.
This resolution authorizes the cancellation of stale dated checks totaling $535 in the municipal court bail account and $156 in the municipal court general account. Resolution 4-3.
Authorize receipt of bids for HVAC services and use of proprietary language for municipal complex system.
This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for HVAC services. In 2010, the Township replaced the antiquated HVAC system in the municipal complex with a new, energy-efficient Andover-Schneider system. This system requires occasional updates and maintenance, and the mechanical components of the system require quarterly inspections, maintenance, service, or repair from time to time. This system meets the criteria of a proprietary service, as service technicians must be factory trained, certified, and authorized by Andover Schneider to maintain, inspect, repair, and program this system. Resolution 4-4.
Authorize award of contract through State of New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Program Police Vehicles.
This resolution authorizes the award of contract to Winter Ford Cherry Hill in the amount of $166,540 for 5 2021 Ford Utility Police Inceptor vehicles for police patrol use. This vendor is part of the New Jersey Cooperative Purchasing Program. Resolution 4-5.
Authorize award of contract through Stafford Township Cooperative Pricing System, purchase and delivery of office supplies.
This resolution authorizes the award of contract to W.B. Mason Company, Brockton, Massachusetts, in the amount not to exceed $35,000 per year for the purchase and delivery of office supplies. This vendor is part of the Stafford Township Cooperative Pricing System. To date, the township has spent approximately $60,000 during the current 2-year contract period. Resolution 4-6.
This resolution authorizes change order number 1 in the authorize change order number 1, Boardwalk Reconstruction, Bayside Park.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes change order number 1 in the amount of $1,504 to Albert Marine, Waretown, as part of the Bayside Park Boardwalk Reconstruction project. Albert Marine Construction has completed the decking on the southwesterly boardwalk at Bayside Park. Upon completion, the contractor has excess decking material that he can return to the supply house. As an alternative, the contractor has asked if the township would like to purchase the excess decking material for a price equal to the credit he would receive from the supplier. There are 47 pieces of 2x6 composite decking, 10 feet in length. DPW is most interested in keeping the material for future repairs or replacement. Resolution 4-7.
Authorize change order number 1, Bayside Park improvements.
This resolution authorizes change order number 1 in the amount of $34,400 to Precise Construction Freehold as part of Bayside Park's improvement project. The change order is for the additional work outside the original project scope required to address the damaged section of the southern boardwalk at Bayside Park. Damage occurred to this section of boardwalk at some point after the design process was completed and therefore not included within the original bid plans for the project. The existing substructure needs to be modified to ensure the decking has a stable base and ultimately prevent future damage. This change order allows for the additional work to repair the damaged section of the southern boardwalk, specifically to remove and replace deck boards with new to match, and repair existing substructure approximately 1,200 square feet. Resolution 4-8.
Authorize acceptance of donation from Board of Fire Commissioners, District Number 2, Chevy Tahoe.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the acceptance of a 2013 Chevy Tahoe as a donation from the Brick Township Board of Fire Commissioners. The Fire Commissioners no longer need this vehicle for public use and is donating it to the township, where it will be used as an EMS first responder vehicle. Resolution 4-9.
Authorize and improving a shared service agreement with Township of Toms River for street elevations, Normandy Beach.
Thank you. Mayor Ducey?
Thank you. As we all know, there's a number of areas, a couple of them here in town, that the elevations are very low, 1.5 foot, such as over at Normandy Beach and Shore Acres. Those are some of our lowest. So we've been working with ACT engineers about a whole plan as far as helping out with the flooding, because what happens basically, if there's a high tide, that's a certain amount above a normal high tide, the water comes up through the drains. So because the streets are only at elevation 1.5. So you have a normal high tide and the pipes are filled, and it's actually, you can actually see it down the storm drains, but then once it gets a little bit higher tide, like a full moon or a wind, something like that, now we're talking about the stuff coming up through the drains out into the streets. So this project here we're doing with Toms River. So a lot of people don't know. So we own a part of part of Brick Township is Normandy. I'm sorry, Normandy is part of Brick Township, but also part of Toms River Township. So this resolution is going to authorize a shared service agreement with the Township of Toms River for securing state funding for roadway elevations in flood-prone sections of Normandy Beach. So certain low-lying sections of Normandy Beach neighborhoods in both municipalities are prone to nuisance-related flooding that can be alleviated by elevating the low-lying streets. So the New Jersey Department of Transportation is accepting applications for state aid projects for 2021, and this agreement will result in a joint application to benefit neighborhoods in both municipalities, because it's all one Normandy Beach, but it is divided by two different towns. And this will elevate the roadways in order to help with this flooding that happens during, it used to only happen a couple times a year, and now it's a couple times a month because the tides are so high now, and the elevation of the bay is so high that when you have a high tide, it's coming up through the storm drains and flooding the streets. So elevating them again, we did elevate them in the past as well, back in 2006, but it only held up for a number of years before it now needs to be elevated again. Thanks.
Thank you. Resolution 410.
Immediate authorization for the outdoor dining area ordinance.
Thank you. Mayor Ducey. Oops, sorry.
Thank you. So later on this evening, we're going to be holding the second reading and as well as the public hearing for an ordinance that allows outdoor dining for existing restaurants through a permit process. So this resolution, what it's going to do is allow for that ordinance to become effective immediately without delay. So normally the process is you vote, the council would vote, and then you have to have the second hearing with the public hearing, a vote again, and then normally a ordinance wouldn't take place until 20 days after the vote on that second reading. But what this resolution is allowing is for this to become effective immediately without delay. We're all hoping that the governor talks about June 1st as maybe being that date, and hopefully that comes through. And this way, restaurants are ready to go here in Brick Township to be able to serve outdoors and have their capacity increased by that.
Thank you. Resolution 411.
Authorized temporary waiver of the application fee for outdoor dining areas.
One more time, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. So anytime you're doing a permit, there's always a fee that's associated with it as far as the fee schedule of things in the building department. So what this resolution is doing is waiving that fee so that the restaurants do not have to pay it. So it's a $150 fee, but we're not looking to hurt restaurants or charge restaurants. We're trying to get them back on their feet and having customers and making money and having people employed, and therefore this resolution would waive that fee for the permit that I just spoke about and will be speaking about again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 412. Madam Clerk?
Yes, this is a road construction bond release for Mongelli Construction in Normandy Drive in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you. Resolution 413, Tax Collector, Ms. Bergen?
Thank you. 413A is to authorize the tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills. This resolution allows for the tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bills for the township's third quarter installment of 2020 taxes. 13B is a veteran deduction granted for the year 2017. There is one. 13C, tax overpayments for 2020. There are two. Block 380.06, Lot 3, in the amount of $834.05, and Block 1052, Lot 7, in the amount of $1,344.44.
Thank you. Resolution 414.
Authorized 2020 temporary capital budget.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the temporary capital budget based upon the completed capital bond ordinances that will be introduced later this evening. That brings us to the end of our consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second?
Zapsik motion.
Mumolo second.
Open the council for questions or comments on the resolutions. Closed council. I'd like to open it to the public for questions on the resolutions. Just a reminder, you can, I lost my instructions. Click on the bar at the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to ask a question, you can click on the raise your hand button to let us know. We're looking for questions on the resolution only.
Any question?
Okay. Someone from the public have a question on the resolutions? No? All right, hearing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 415, Bill Resolution Computer 2020.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $12,503,053.80.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Halloran, motion.
Rivera.
All right.
Second, Monserrat.
Okay. Open to council for questions on the computer bill resolutions. All right. Close council. Open to the public for questions on the bill resolutions. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Abstain from Teamsters and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain, CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 416.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $12,875.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion, no motion.
Monserrat. Second, Monserrat.
You get Minikino?
Yes,
First,
thank
okay.
you.
Open to council for questions or comments on the manual bill resolutions. Close council. Open to the public for questions on the manual bill resolutions.
For which? They did it early on. Yeah, no, not yet, then.
We got a lot of background noise there.
Are we good? Yep. We can have it at the end. Okay, hearing none, close public, roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain, CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are up to ordinance on first reading, 5-1.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,003,345 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,903,177 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. The following ordinances reflect the expected useful life of a variety of capital items for all township departments totaling $6,620,439.20. This first round of ordinances includes projects that are essential and top priorities. The remainder of the capital projects approved as part of the total $8.5 million capital budget will be approved at a later date. The budget started at over $25 million, but was reduced and prioritized by the various department heads, including police, engineering, parks, recreation, public works, and IT. Essential projects include infrastructure projects, roads, storm drains, retrofits, flapper valves, etc., tools and equipment for the Department of Public Works, sanitation trucks, and other essential services vehicles, security projects, technology needs, and the continuation of dredge master plan and flooding analysis. Roadway elevation projects are also included. Can I get a motion and a second?
Halloran, motion.
Mumalo, second.
That was for the 5-year life. Open to council for questions on the bond ordinance for 5-year life. Close council, roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 5-2, ordinance on first reading for bond ordinance 7-year life.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $657,350, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $624,482 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion Pontoriero.
Second, Halloran.
Thank you. Open to council on the 7-year bond ordinance. Closed council, roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're on Resolution 5-3, bond ordinance 10-year life.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,816,745, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,675,909 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and second?
Minikino motion.
DeYoung second, or motion, second.
Second. Got it. Minikino first, DeYoung second. Got it? Okay. Thank you. Open to council for questions on the bond ordinance 10-year life. Closed council, roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're on Resolution 5-4, bond ordinance 15-year life.
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and acquisitions in and by the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, appropriating $1,193,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,133,350 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. Can I get a motion and second?
Motion Pontoriero.
Second, Halloran.
Thank you. Open to council for questions on the bond ordinance 15-year life. Closed council, roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are on to our ordinance on second reading, 6-1.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 211 of the Township Code entitled Garage, Flea Markets, and Other Sales to permit outdoor dining areas.
Mayor Ducey.
Thank you. So this is the second reading of the ordinance. The ordinance is to help businesses. Right now, as we all know, we're going through crazy, crazy times, and as part of this trying to fight back the epidemic, our governor has closed businesses and restaurants and everything. So our restaurants, as they currently stand, can only offer the basically drive-through, or it's pickup or delivery. So there's nobody can eat in restaurants. So hopefully that's going to change soon. There's some indication that could be as announcement being made as of June 1st or possibly June 15th. But when that announcement does come, we do have indications that the governor is going to limit capacity to the inside of restaurants. So whether that's going to be 25%, 35%, 50% is unknown at this time, but it's definitely going to be limited capacity per his, per his conversations that he has had. So therefore, came up with the idea to expand and allow outdoor dining through a permitting process. So basically, in the, before this ordinance passes, you need to do a whole site plan and expensive architects, engineers, traffic planners, all sorts of things in order to have this type of outdoor dining. And so what we're doing here is streamlining all that, making a permitting practice where the review is going to be done mainly by our police as well as our fire inspector, and therefore this way it's safe for everybody. So, the fire inspector is going to be looking for things like you can't block a fire lane or you can't block a fire exit, and the chief and the police are going to be looking for some other safety things. But in the meantime, there's no fee, as was already passed earlier tonight, that the $150 fee would be passed, and all you have to do is a sketch. So we've already started receiving some, so it's just basically a sketch of where you plan on putting your tables, in what parking lot or on what sidewalk or what grassy area next to your restaurant. And this is going to allow restaurants to be able to have a higher capacity. So meaning, if they had only 25% or maybe even 50% capacity on the inside per the governor's order, a lot of restaurants couldn't make it. A lot of the restaurants do research on the amount of tables they have, with the amount of staff they have, and the amount their rent is, and things like that. That it may cause them even more hardship than they're already going through by people not being able to go inside the restaurants. So we're trying to help them out here in Brick Township by allowing this outdoor dining to take place so that they can increase their capacity and hopefully have a very successful opening and months ahead of us. So I thank the council for putting it on the agenda, and it is exciting. I think we're one of the first in the state to be able to do this, and together with our emergency resolution that was passed earlier by the council, that it takes effect immediately. It is very exciting. I've heard from a number of restaurant owners that have asked, about it, and they have submitted applications already, and a lot more plan on submitting those applications. So I think we're doing the right thing. I'm also inviting, if there's any other businesses out there that have ideas like this, we can help you along the way. We are definitely business friendly, and we want to do what we can to help you not only open, because that opening comes from the governor, so we don't have that ability, but when you do open, to be able to be successful. So if you have ideas such as this, I'm sure the council and the land use committee would be willing to take a look at those. Thank you.
You're good? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So can I please get a motion and second?
Mumolo motion.
Halloran second.
Okay.
Mumolo first, Halloran second. Open to council for comments on Chapter 211? Hearing none, close council.
Quick question.
Oh, is that the council?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just from used to be's. Is now the time to ask a couple of questions, or after?
No, yeah. So we're opening it to public now. Can you just state your name and address, please?
My name is Randy Beyruti, and I am the front of house manager at Used to Be's. And I can tell you that from the last meeting that I sat in on and speaking to lots of customers coming into the liquor store or to pick up takeout, I had told them what Rick was doing for us and for the restaurants, and everybody was very happy to hear what you are expediting. That being said, I have a couple of questions from some of the coworkers. I'd like to be able to answer them, because you had said that it's going to be up to the governor as far as the capacity for the inside, but for the capacity outside, would that be up?
Yeah. So it's covered by the ordinance. So it's basically, it allows whatever your inside capacity is, you're allowed to have on the outside. So let me explain that a little better. Let's just say you have 100 people capacity for the inside of your restaurant on a normal day, and the governor comes out and says, okay, you're only allowed to do 25%. So you're allowed to have 25 inside and 75 outside for the total of 100. This way nobody's hurt. You can always have the same capacity that you had on the inside. So obviously if there's 50, it would be 50 inside, 50 outside, and so forth.
Okay, so my next question is, will you allow parking spots, like a table per parking spot? Because obviously now that occupancy in the area is down and Uber use is down, we're not really that concerned about parking cars. We're more concerned about getting tables out there, because this is hurting really bad. We literally had just put in a kitchen renovation, which I'm sure your departments know about, and it was up and running for 2 days when we got shut down. So we're like deer in headlights right now.
Yep, so you wouldn't be able to do handicap parking. Handicap parking has to stay, but the regular spots, if that's what you're proposing, that's what you
So if
propose.
I have 50 spots and 5 of them are handicapped, that means I could use 45 spots to put tables in? As long as I'm not in a fire lane or a fire exit or...
Well, so somebody's going to be looking at that as far as the
I'm
safety
sure
of
they
it and
are.
everything else, so that...
We can't afford that many tables anyway. I just wanted to know that as many as I could squeeze together, I'm going to try to do.
Yep, so it'll be reviewed, so basically if you use all the spots, I think somebody's going to come back and say, well, there's nowhere for people to park, and therefore you can't do
Okay.
that, but
Now,
that'll
my
be the
last
police.
question to you is, and I don't even know if you'll be able to answer this, is that I know in the wintertime, the firehouse, the parking spot, the parking area behind the firehouse across from Used to Be's right there, they've always been very gracious and let customers, the overflow, park in there. I believe that's beach parking. So if it's after 5 o'clock or something, would people be able to park over there, or are they just like a beach person? They could pay $5 and park over there?
We're not changing anything from any other year, so whatever's consistent
Okay.
from other years.
All right, perfect. All right, great. Thank you.
That's not open.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions from the public regarding the amendment to Chapter 11 outdoor dining areas? That's okay.
Well, you know what? One other thing. I'm sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
I know that I had asked about a tenting, like a canopy, not a full-blown tent, just a big white, a professional company comes in, anchors it down so that there's coverage. But I believe that you guys had said just umbrellas, but umbrellas make me nervous because, the winds and, obviously we'll do what we have to do, but you all know from even having umbrellas in your backyard.
So any type of tents aren't part of this ordinance, so you'd have to do the regular process for, if you're looking for
Got it.
tents.
Okay.
And it really has
All
a
right.
strict look
In
at
other
by
words, fill out a
fire.
permit for that and see if that would have gotten approved.
Yeah, just submit your application.
Okay.
We'll get all the
thank you.
comments back. A lot of people have done it already. It's easy. You just have to do your own drawing.
Yes, I was very upset to hear that you said that people are beating us to it because I handed everything over to the powers that be, and I guess they haven't submitted anything yet. So I'll get on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else from public, I'm going to close public. Roll call.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
Councilman Minikino.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumalo.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Vice President Halloran.
Yes.
President Crate.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are on to the public comment portion of our meeting. Madam Clerk?
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from the public?
Hi, yes, this is Stephen Timoni, 542 Broad Avenue, Normandy Beach.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. My interest is obviously, as you well know, the flooding in Normandy Beach, which is quite a serious problem for a small area in our community.
I'm sorry. We're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Right?
It's got to speak up a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Very loud, okay. But my concern is about the flooding problem that we're experiencing in Normandy Beach that we've experienced for many years now. That's been unattended. It continues to get worse. I do know that Act Engineering was hired by the Township to address this problem. Despite many, many emails that I've sent to the mayor, the council, the Township attorney, members of the Act Engineering firm, I have received no response. That's disturbing to me. As a taxpayer, as a resident, as an upstanding citizen, business owner, lawyer, hospital board member, I'm pretty legitimate. And my first question is, why am I being ignored? That's question number one. And two, what's the status of the Act Engineering project?
Yeah, I sent out an email to everybody back in April, and basically it said if you have any particular problems, it would go to the police as far as flooding, and we would update you as things progressed. So since that time, I know we had a meeting with ACT Engineers, and our business administrator, Joanne Bergen, sent out the appropriate update, and we have a future meeting with ACT Engineers soon, and that'll issue out it'll be another update coming after that, as well as dates when the neighborhood meetings that we discussed many times, we'll have that schedule out.
Well, what is the status, though? This has been going on for years, Mr. Mayor. Years. Not months, years. And there's been no action. I have flooding in front of my house that exceeds, at times, 2 feet. It's a dangerous situation. Children will be walking to the camp very soon through infectious water. I've advised the council and the mayor and the township attorney of the dangers that exist as the result of standing water that stagnates and produces the spread of disease. Now, this should be particularly sensitive to it as the result of COVID-19. What are you doing about this? The silence is deafening.
As you're well aware of, I guess I don't have that email in front of me. We can go back to as far as 2006 with the road elevations.
Mayor, the road elevations didn't do it.
Are you going to give me a chance to speak, sir, or are you going to talk over me the entire time, just like you do? Now you know why you don't get the response to emails, because we send back an email and you send back 30 speaking over us and complaining.
That's very, very, very unfair. You don't give answers. Answer me and I won't talk back.
Let me try to answer you. I got 4 words in so far. Am I good to go, or you're still going to keep on going?
Oh, sorry.
Do you hear me saying anything?
Yes, I do. So if you give me a second here, we can get through this. So, obviously, we've been doing stuff in the township for years, which includes elevating the roads. We've replaced the pipe. There was a pipe that was smashed by your association in the playground area, which was then finally was repaired last year. We've cleaned out the retention bases numerous times. We cut a hole in a bulkhead at requests along the way, which we've now fixed that hole in the bulkhead because it caused more problems. We all know that the problem has gotten worse over the years, where originally it was only a few times a year. It is now a few times, couple times a month because of the rise of the tide. So basically the water comes up, as I explained earlier, through the storm drains. So there's talk about faulty storm drains and these things. Obviously, when there's a high tide, the water comes up through the storm drains and therefore comes out into the street and thereby flooding the street. So we were contacted, last May, as we had thought along the way that the renovations were successful. We had thought that the cleanings were successful. We had thought by replacing that pipe at the clubhouse was successful. And in May, a gentleman came in with a couple of requests that we thought were done. Unfortunately, they were not. There was a miscommunication, and those were not done until August. And that's what started in the, everybody coming in. And we had a December 18th, 2019 meeting with FEMA, as well as yourselves. It was, we jumped the schedule. We were going to do a massive Barrier Island thing, but we just worked with Normandy Beach residents exclusively at that time. And at that time, we were going to test capping the area of Broad and 6th Avenue. We originally put in one cap so that the bladder was in there. It did not do the job. So then what we did is we took that information from the next high tide event, and then we put them in everywhere. At that point, the bladders helped, and it actually stopped the groundwater from coming up. The problem was there was a large rainstorm in January. The large rainstorm then had a problem with the flooding, and the rain came down, and the rain could not go out the drain because the drains were blocked by the bladders. And then again, the residents asked for those bladders to be removed. So since that time, we've only had probably 2 storms that has that amount of rain of that January storm. So those bladders would have been successful in stopping the constant high tide water, but you would have had to deal with the rainwater. But we took those out. per the request of the residents on January 28th of 20. And then we've always spoken about the flapper valves. We finally have tested flapper valves that actually work, and those are being funded in the 2020 capital budget, which was, some of those ordinances were discussed earlier tonight. But that promise was made back then, and even earlier than that, in the fall of last year, that it would be funded. And we're talking $300,000 worth of flapper valves throughout our town, because we have 13 low-lying areas. And then we had discussions in January with the council's land use committee about the possibility of increasing the height requirements for bulkheads, as well as grade elevation for new construction. Since that time, the council has passed the ordinance in order to increase the height requirements for bulkheads. We've also applied to FEMA for an FMA study to be able to identify more strategic long-term solutions. And we had talked about retaining, we were able to retain our expert, ACT Engineering, based upon their experience down in Ocean City, New Jersey, where they were quite successful, and there's newspaper articles that were circulated by the residents in Normandy Beach showing that how the success that they had down in Ocean City. The township also requested a meeting with NJOEM to input how to improve the benefit cost analysis. And that was in order to see how we can get additional fundings. We also researched, as well as going to be applying for the BRIC funds once they are announced. And this is a coordinated effort that is being made throughout the town with our newly retained ACT Engineering firm, who are our flooding experts. We also asked the residents at that point to document hardship, including medical deliveries that were not able to be received, and any other types of hardships that people are going through, so we can increase our cost-benefit analysis. On January 9th, 2020, we did meet with ACT engineers for the first time. They came in to meet with us and come up with their plan for what they could do. January 27th, we provided them with LiDAR survey data so that they can take a look at the 13 areas in BRIC that are at or below elevation 2.5, which is very low. And those are all the areas that experience the backwash from the tides through the pipes. On January 28th, 20, the township, I said that earlier, the township actually removed the bladders. On February 3rd, myself and our business administrator met with staff from the governor's office regarding the need for public assistance for this problem. It's a statewide problem, Barrier Island problem. It's not just a BRIC problem, obviously, as we all know. Everybody, sometimes I can't get across in the Bayhead area trying to get over to the Barrier Island because that's what the flooding's happening in Bayhead that I have to drive through in order to get over to the BRIC portion of the Barrier Island. On February 3rd, our business administrator also participated in a meeting with FEMA and NJOEM regarding reimbursements from Sandy, and we asked for all the contacts at NJOEM that deal with the mitigation so that we can coordinate the meeting with them as far as funding as well. February 19th, we got proposals from ACT Engineer, and we reviewed those for funding and executed the agreement 6 days later on February 25th, 2020, because it is such an important issue to the town. The focus areas are a number of them, including Normandy Beach, and it was $173,500 for the proposal. The second proposal was for completion of a flood mitigation assistance grant, which that's the required documentation and the benefit cost analysis. Total cost for that is another $31,200. From there, we moved on to actually ACT Engineering doing the work, which took place in the months of March and April. And then on, let me see when it was, May 2nd, we met with ACT Engineering about their progress and to figure out where we're going from here. And they were, ACT Engineering has been on site in the neighborhoods, collecting data, documenting flood conditions, inspecting the catch basins, developing concept plans and approaches, and basically some of the other things we're working on is we're working with Tom's River on the shared service agreement, which was passed earlier tonight by the council. And that shared service agreement's for the submission of the NJDOT municipal aid application for roadway elevations. That includes both municipalities, Toms River and ourselves, for the sections of Normandy. And the brick section is, included in that strategy. And the capital budget was on tonight with the flapper valves. And we're moving forward. We have additional meeting with ACT engineers in the very near future. And of course, as usual, our business administrator most likely will be the one setting out the update. And then at that time, we should have the list of the neighborhood meetings, which actually we're going to have one just for Normandy as far as a neighborhood meeting, so that everybody's concerns can be heard by the town. So when you say, we haven't done anything, I didn't cover everything, but that's a pretty good majority of it.
Thank you for the summary and refreshing my memory. I appreciate it. So, about the May 2nd meeting, what has ACT accomplished? And what did they report at that May 2nd meeting?
Sounds like somebody's got a TV on.
I can't hear a response.
We sent the May 2nd update. Do you want me to read that to you, or?
No, it was very brief, and I asked for minutes of the meeting, and apparently the minutes weren't taken, which was quite surprising to me, but nonetheless.
So Joanne does the minutes, and the summary is her minutes that's actually from the meeting.
I was told that there were no minutes of the meeting. I made a request for the minutes. I don't need to debate that with you, but I didn't get minutes.
So there's an email dated May 2nd, 2020 at 3:28 p.m. from Joanne Bergen.
Right, but it really doesn't tell us what was accomplished at that meeting, and it doesn't report on the status of ACT Engineering's progress. And if you can't tell me, you can't tell me. I'm not going to belabor it and debate you, but and I appreciate the history that you reminded me of. But at the end of the day, nothing that has been done has been successful. Nothing. And that's surprising to me. I hope ACT engineers can pull this off. I really don't know who the township has been relying upon over all these years. I've been here since 1970, and it just gets progressively worse. The storm drainage system that you claim to be in working operation, I've been told, and maybe it's lore, has been the same system for the past 70 years, and nothing's been done to it. But then you accuse our association of damaging pipes. I wasn't aware of that. I'm aware of the fact that the pipes and the system, it's inoperable. It's antiquated. It doesn't work because, yes, tides are rising. The bay rises. We're in a low-lying area. The storm drainage system that exists today and existed 70 years ago doesn't work. You have an obligation to provide us with a workable storm drainage system. I'm not an engineer. I didn't go to engineering school. I don't study engineering. I know nothing about engineering. But I do know this. I still have 2 feet of water in front of my house regularly. I have standing water almost every day in front of my house. And I see sewer drains that are filled to the top 24/7, 365 days a year. So that tells me that something's wrong. I appreciate your description, the rhetoric about what's been done, but really nothing has been done that's been effective. And I just think we deserve some detail, some response. And you say that I don't understand your non-response to the emails. I don't even understand the comment that you made. But I do send emails and I don't get responses to them, and I just feel that we're entitled to respond. If somebody would like to talk to me about this offline, I'd be happy to speak with them about it. I've never received a call from anyone. I'd love to speak with your lawyer about it. But just please get something done. Please make some progress. We're not bad people over here. We pay our taxes, and we're suffering. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
I have a question.
Yes. Can you please state your name and address?
Sure. Eileen Morano, 548 Broad Avenue in Normandy Beach.
Oh, God.
Was that an oh God that I just heard? My question relates to some minutes that I've seen regarding resolutions. And please correct me if I'm wrong. It appeared to me that you have passed a resolution that Brick and Tom's River will be raising roads, and that Broad Avenue may be part of that project. Is that correct?
Yes. Earlier tonight, the council passed that resolution to allow for the shared service agreement with Township of Tom's River.
Okay. This has been discussed, and I'm sure probably some of you know me by name. So I go to most of the meetings, and I've asked this question before, and I have not gotten a clear answer. So forgive me if I'm just not catching it. But I have not been given an answer as to what happens to our property when the roads are raised. Does that project include raising sidewalks, raising storm drains, adapting driveways to the heights, or are the homeowners expected to fund those changes in any way to their driveways? I had a face-to-face meeting, my husband and I did, with the township engineer, and I asked this question. And her response was, that falls outside of her purview. She's concerned with roads being passable, which I can understand. But my question is, who's concerned with the chance that this project will then just move that water from the roadways onto our properties? If I am just completely missing that, my apologies. But if somebody could briefly explain to me where the water goes, that'd be great.
Sure, if you can. I'm not an engineer, I don't know.
Hi, Mrs. Morano, this is Joanne Bergen. So we entered tonight the shared service agreement so that we could work with the Toms River engineer on the actual design of these roadway elevations, so that has not been completed yet. Hopefully at the next council meeting we'll have a resolution supporting the submission of the application, so between now and then we should have fine-tuned that part of it. But we can't answer the question now because we haven't designed it. The shared service agreement authorizes us to go ahead and start doing that with Toms River, which we'll do expeditiously, and hope to be able to discuss it more at the next council meeting.
Okay, could the council then please keep in mind, I've owned my house since 2010, I believe it was, when we bought. I've raised my house twice now since that time to be FEMA compliant at the cost of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm now 12 feet in the air, so I'm not raising it any higher. And when I had my meeting with the township engineer, she said, well, nobody is supposed to build or be living on the lowest level when houses are raised. And I am not. I have not developed that level in any way. I store bicycles there, some tools. But I can tell you, I don't want a solution that has standing water 24/7 under my home. So I'm hoping that somebody on the council makes it their responsibility to fully understand this project. Because, as I said, I'm 12 feet in the air now, but many of my neighbors are not. So if this water that is not being captured by storm drains now finds its way onto properties, you're going to ruin the property values in this neighborhood. So please, when you debate this, please include the citizens of Normandy Beach, and please have an engineer give us a drawing and specs that we can understand, so you don't take our properties and just ruin our values here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public or comments? Seeing none, close public.
I have a comment.
I'm sorry. Is this, can you please state your name and...
My name is Mary Bolovich at 523 Normandy Drive in Normandy Beach. I would just like to back what both people from Normandy Beach were talking about, and I'd like to also just say that I've been a part of Normandy Beach since the 80s, and in the last several years, the flooding is out of control. My home does not flood. The only reason I'm involved is because I care about our town. I care about Normandy Beach, and it's not that our home values will fall, they are falling. Who is going to buy a house that they can't get to? It's ridiculous. Plus, you can take a walk through our neighborhood and see the lasting effects of floods. It doesn't have to be flooded, but you can see that the storm drains are full of disgusting water all the time. You can see that people's properties are moldy, dirty, and filthy with disease, with garbage. It's ridiculous that people have to live like this. And our property values have gone down, and they will go down, which means your revenue will go down. You know, ultimately, you guys will lose money as a township if our property values go down and nobody wants to move here. And we're tired of begging, and, you know, we've been pretty vocal this past, 8 months, and we really haven't made much progress as a township in terms of trying to help our community here. And I understand there's other areas that we're getting to, but they all should be attended to. And we shouldn't have to live this way. And kids shouldn't have to walk around where there could be EQI and any other disease they can pick up. And as far as act engineers, my family and I have personally talked to many of the Ocean City residents that spearheaded the effort to solve their problem. And they frankly said ACT engineers were not a good engineering firm for that problem. So I can put you in touch with these people and you can pick their brains too, but they've been involved with their problem for 6 years. They know it inside out. They headed it up, and they were not impressed with ACT engineers. And frankly, so far, I don't see anything coming from them or on their website or, you know, calling them that tells me they're the experienced engineers in flood mitigation. I'd also finally just want to bring up dredging. We all know that during Sandy, our lagoons were filled with sand, rocks, you know, furniture, you name it, grills, everything else. That's all cleared out, but it remains way above the level, our lagoons, that they were before the storm. Can you guys please ask engineers or whatever grants you can go to dredge our lagoons? Because that would really help solve the problem. Because right now, it isn't just an environmental issue that, you know, the tides are rising. Tides in Normandy rose after the storm because our lagoons were filled. They were filled during the storm, filled with sand and other debris. So, I mean, if dredging were to happen in our lagoons, your system might end up working. Right now, it's not working because it's below the level. And I invite anybody to come walk the streets and see what we're talking about. It's disgusting. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a Mr. or Mrs. Borio that would like to make a comment? You have your hand raised?
Hi, yes, good evening.
Can you just state your name and address, please?
Sure, Joseph Borio, 6 Maury Lane. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it would be better if you were a little bit louder. Sorry.
Okay, yes, Joseph Borio, 6 Maury Lane.
That's better. Thank you.
So I have a question. Why are we postponing the 245 and what's being further considered?
Hold on. Is that the fence one? Yes. So it went back to land use. They had some concerns about it, and they wanted to bring it back to the committee for further discussion on the impact for residents.
How was it voted on at the first meeting?
It was presented by land use at the first meeting, and I believe afterwards the committee had discussion. I don't know if Councilman Mumalo's on the line, if he wants to have any comment.
I am. It's the certain things have been brought to my attention, so I've asked it to go back to committee to be discussed further before we implement this ordinance.
Okay, thank you, because we have a property that would be impacted by an ordinance like this. And we've been involved with a certain issue about some trees in our neighborhood that it was decided by the zoning board that they needed to be mitigated. They haven't been, but we're also negatively impacted by the zoning board's decision of granting a 7.5-foot variance where 25 feet is required. It took a really good chunk of our view. When we bought our house, it had a beautiful river view. And now we will look at a wall that's 20 feet high where I used to sit every morning and look at the river and have my coffee. And you know, we did, me and my neighbors, who, you know, all have the same concerns. We did attend the zoning board meeting, and, you know, we had a discussion. We had, there was some back and forth. We were almost in agreement, but not quite. We asked that the issue be tabled so we could seek legal representation. We were denied. And the reason that we did ask, because there was multiple, you know, questions of legality with the lot, as to historical mapping, as to use, legality of use. And, you know, there was multiple questions that were beyond the layman's understanding of the law. And like I said, we did ask for it to be tabled. We were denied. I do plan to appeal that decision, especially in regard to the apartment that's associated with the property that I believe is in illegal use. But I'd like to stay on topic. So the new changes to the ordinance were explained to me by Tara Paxton, the town planner, that they were in favor of larger trees. Well, I guess, can I rewind for 1 second here? Your old ordinance has a fencing height limitation of 4 feet, 200 feet from the waterfront. And you follow that up with the same for shrubbery. So in other words, if you have a 4-foot fence, an appropriate shrub is something that you could give like a flat top haircut to across a 4-foot fence. I would imagine this was written to maintain like an open, airy feel for the whole waterfront. Not just waterfront homeowners, but a lot of people live in and around the waterfront. So I believe that ordinance was written with much more public good in mind than this new one that, and certain aspects of the new ordinance, the new amendments that I've noticed on reading. One is 15 feet landward of the bulkhead. You can plant any size shrubbery that you like. It can be 20 feet, 15 feet landward, instead of 200 feet, which falls in line, it aligns with your fencing ordinance. So I would ask if you were to allow a shrub that's 20 feet high to be planted in front of a fence that you require to be 4 feet high, the two don't align. And, you know, that part of the fencing order is, you know, the fencing ordinance would be negated by the shrubbery. And I would think, Brick, being a proud waterfront community, they would consider this. And, the new ordinance is less enjoyment for more, and the old ordinance is more enjoyment for more. So I think it's a no-brainer, and I see some major flaws with that one. And I can tell you, I talked to Tara Paxton, and the one reason she gave me was for, our FEMA rating in the town, which I'm familiar with. And, the more flood-proofing measures you can do, the better rating you get through FEMA. I understand all that. But as the way she explained it to me is, and I said, well, why can't you accomplish the same, that in a flooding event like Sandy, that, vegetation is good, that maintains the soil and will actually suck up water. So my point is, and she said she's in favor of a tree rather than a shrub that's larger and has bigger roots. Now, when I water my shrubs, I water them with fresh water, and anytime I've ever seen shrubs, encounter salt water, they all die. I watched 300 feet of shrubs die right after Sandy when they were submerged in salt water. So Tara's explanation to me really didn't hold water, as far as I'm concerned, as far as a flood-proof measure. She was speaking from a floodplain manager's perspective, so I can understand, but I don't agree with the reason. And the other point I want to make is the property that I'm talking about, 9 Morey Lane, where a summons was issued for trees, has since dug up and moved the trees and spread them out more landward of the bulkhead. So he's been summoned twice. He refuses to remove his bushes. They were a condition of his variance, but he refuses to move them. He agreed to do so, and has since been summoned twice and moved them, and now he's lawyered up. So I was just wondering, when is this going to happen, and will there be another open, discussion before it's voted on? And we have to live with this decision, because we're already living with a horrible decision by the zoning board.
Well, at this time,
7.5 feet where 25 is required, and I'm in the engineering profession. I haven't encountered that often. I could see 15, that I could see, or 20 in an instance like this. But when they approved 7.5 feet, he just took a huge view of our river away. And I understand, when you build into allowable setbacks, you don't own the view, but this was an exception made by the town, and it dramatically affected our view and our property value, I believe.
All right, well, the ordinance at this point is pulled. It will be up to land use to review it again. It would go through the same process, and at this time, as far as I know, land use does not have another meeting scheduled, so for the time being, there won't be any discussion until land use has a chance to review it again. So at this point, it's kind of, nothing's going to happen with it. Land use will review it, and when it comes back up again, just like we have the opportunity now, the public will have a chance to come out and speak on it.
Okay, well, while we're on the topic, can I speak on another matter that has to do with the same neighborhood?
Your 5 minutes is up. I will give you, I'll give you like 1 more minute, so go ahead, quickly, go ahead.
Okay, I do appreciate that. Myself and my neighbors, we all enjoy a deeded access to the beach at the foot of our street, okay? We're routinely denied access every weekend. There's a property owner at the end of the street. He typically parks 8 to 10 cars there. You can't carry a crab trap through. You can't carry a paddleboard through. You cannot carry a cooler through without those cars being moved, okay? Now, recently, a young mom from our neighborhood, not my wife, an acquaintance and friends, I won't say her name, but she was down there and spent 3 days cleaning up our little beach. She was down there with her 3-year-old and her 1-year-old. She worked real hard. A day later, someone threw a bunch of branches and leaves and, trying to discourage her use of the place. And I believe it was one of the waterfront residents. I can't say for sure, but we asked everyone, and they said no, and their kids didn't. So But typically, we're denied access by a parking situation that we've made the town aware of for the last year. We haven't gotten anywhere with it. We do have deeded access. We do have legal right to that. And we actually parked our cars down there to actually, so no one else could quadruple park over the weekend. Well, I was visited by the police 3 times in 2 days, asking me to move my car. I'll say nothing bad about the police. I've only had good interactions with Brick Police. They're always professional. They're always courteous. They did ask me politely to move my car. I asked them if it was parked legally. They said yes, and I said absolutely not. I've since decided to move it because I proved my point, and I can move it back whenever I please if we receive this type of intimidation anymore. And I think the resident there knows that as well. But I just want to know what the town can do to help us have access to that beach and maintain access and access it whenever we like we're legally allowed to do.
Yeah, I know we talked about this, on the phone and everything. You just need to call the police. And the police will go out. They're the ones who investigate if somebody's parked legally, illegally, and let them do their job.
Okay, well, we have made the town aware of, certain other measures. We don't want to call the police every time, but maybe we'll have to start that someone's quadruple parked there. It's not nice to have the police in your neighborhood every weekend. It doesn't look good. Even my neighbors gave me a hard time and say, hey, what the hell's going on? The police are here every other day and everything,
There's nobody else who can enforce laws. They take an oath. They're hired for that purpose. That's what they're there for.
Well, I know it has been suggested before that there be a timber guardrail there or a couple bollards or a hatching, painted where there's no parking for one space, where it would just allow a buffer so you could carry something through. And that wouldn't involve calling the police continually and bothering them with this nonsense. Now, my daughter had a seizure when she was 1 year old, and the police were here in less than 3 minutes. I'd rather reserve them for those type of things. And I've apologized to those police officers every time they come out here for this nonsense.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments.
That's all I get.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from public?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name and address.
Robert Palmisano, 525 Broad Avenue, Normandy Beach. I apologize I joined the meeting late. You may have covered the 2 questions I have, but they are, we were promised a meeting with ACT Engineering before the end of May, and here it is May 26th, and we've received no information regarding that meeting that can be held via Zoom. Is there any tentative date or set date for that meeting? And if not, why not?
Not yet. We're meeting with them in the next couple days, and then we'll release that schedule. We had talked about that earlier. Yep.
So there will be a meeting before the end of May in Normandy Beach or our neighborhood?
I doubt it, but we'll know more once we meet with them. Oh, we're not meeting.
So they're not.
We're not meeting with
They're
them.
not meeting the May deadline.
June 1st, we're meeting with them. So yeah, definitely will not be May, and then they'll set the timeline and the schedule, and then we'll notify everybody. Keep everybody updated like we always do.
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, we were promised months ago at the council meeting that when you retained, if you go back and look at your minutes, when you retained ACT Engineering, you told us that they would have 3 public meetings in the month of May. Here it is the end of May. There's no urgency, again, in solving this problem. Now we're pushing back into June, that you're even meeting with them. Why is this not taking a priority again?
If you watch the news, there's a whole pandemic going on in the whole country.
I understand that, and the pandemic began back in February, March, not back years ago. It's just brick towns, it's your MO. You just keep delaying and procrastinating with this problem. It's not going away.
Well, if that's what you believe, then that's fine. We talked about this earlier, and keep on.
Okay.
You got the rest of your time for your comments.
My second question is,
thanks.
I believe the flapper valves that are coming into Normandy Beach, can someone clarify or confirm how many flapper valves are coming into Normandy Beach, when they'll be installed? Because if I recall correctly, again from council meetings, we were told in the month of June. So is that on schedule? How many flapper valves and when will they be installed in Normandy?
Yes, the first reading of the ordinance was on earlier. If you, I guess, like you said, you weren't here. So I guess I just have to read them all. I don't see anything broken down by. We have 7th, 529 Broad. We have 541 Broad, 519 to 523 Broad. 1880 Ward, 120, 122 Bayview, 100, 102 Bayview, 64, 66 Bayview, 309 7th Ave, unknown address on State Highway Route 35, outfall to Barnegat Bay.
So it sounds like approximately 7?
I didn't count them. I just read them.
Okay. And when, so that is to purchase them, or is that, what is that you passed tonight?
The bond ordinance.
Yeah, it's the ordinance to purchase them
And install.
and install.
All right, so when do you anticipate purchasing them and having them installed?
Well, we had first reading this evening, second reading would be at the next meeting, and then beyond that, we would make the purchase and installation.
And what time frame? Can you commit to a time frame with that? So in 2 weeks, you're going to vote the second time.
Mm-hmm.
How long does it take to purchase them and have them delivered?
I can't, I don't have that information, it goes through purchasing, so.
Right.
All right, have you verified they're available, or are they going to be back ordered, or, so again, so probably but what I'm hearing is chances are they will not be installed in the month of June as promised.
June is when we normally pass the capital budget. We're actually doing it a little bit earlier this year because this is one of the priority things that we want to get done. So we're not passing the ordinance in June. We're doing it earlier.
All right, you're passing it 4 days before the end of June, but again, it doesn't. You're giving us no indication. Typically, you're in government. You've done this before. If you pass the ordinance tonight, do the second reading in 2 weeks, how long will it take to purchase and install the flapper valves? It's a simple, straightforward question.
So,
See them in June? Are we going to see them in July?
I wouldn't think so, right? I mean, do you have a better answer?
Well, no,
I mean, it took you 5 days after you spoke to the police department to remove the barricades that were up blocking our beaches.
No, that's
Listen,
not what
we're
happened.
not
I talked to
gonna
the
give you-
chief on Monday. As you well know, I talked to the chief on Monday. He didn't give the okay at that point. I don't know where you got that from. I talked to the chief. The chief said, yeah, these are the reasons why they're there. We're going to keep them there, see how things go. And then we removed them on Friday when I talked to him again. In between there was no indication that he was taking them down. I lobbied him and talked to him, and he said, yeah, I think it's okay. We went another 4 days without problems.
All right, so
you make these
we
assumptions in your
Let's go
email
back to the
that
flapper
are totally
valves.
untrue, and it's just so uncalled for.
Can you give us an approximate date of when we'll see them installed in Normandy Beach?
Keep on talking. We'll both keep on talking at the same time.
I'll stop both of you. We're not going to give you a date on the approximate installation of the flapper valves because we don't have that date available, and I'm not going to give you a date that would be inaccurate that you could come back then and say that we were inaccurate. So when we have a date for the installation, well, I'm sure we'll be happy to let your particular neighborhood know when that's going to happen, and then that's when you will know. But until then, we did the first reading tonight. Second reading is in 2 weeks. After that, it goes through purchasing, and then once those flapper valves arrive, they'll be installed.
Okay. Is it a top priority for the road department, whoever's installing them?
I would like to think that it's a top priority because we have it in this section of the ordinance being passed in May. So,
Okay.
yes.
All right. That's not what you told us back in February, or, January and February when we attended council meetings. You told us they'd be installed in June.
Well,
You go back and read the notes, read the
Sorry.
minutes. You said installed in June.
We don't pass the capital budget until June.
Well, you told us the language you used was they'd be installed in June, because we all walked out of there saying, oh, we have to wait about 5 or 6 months before the flapper valves are at least going on. And the same way you said ACT Engineering was going to meet with the community in May, and now you're not meeting with them until June 1st. So it's not a priority.
Well,
Do you have
that's
any
an
other
assumption.
questions or comments? Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close public. And we are on to council comments. Ms. Bergen?
I have nothing, but thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. Of course. Mayor Ducey?
Thank you. So, as we all know, most of us know, we're going through this national dilemma and this epidemic throughout the country. It's been a horrible thing. We've had a number of businesses that have not been able to open, and I just like to talk about that. The governor needs to do a plan. The same thing happened after Sandy. So, when the state has control over doing things such as funding and making decisions on a local basis, they always seem to take this like global approach. They don't give the control where it needs to be. Control needs to be on the local level. It's not a one-size-fits-all across the entire state. So there's a number of things that happened after Sandy as far as funding and as far as the help that was needed right here on the ground. And unfortunately, the money was held up at the state level. There was affordable housing units being built up North Jersey. And in the meantime, we don't have people getting back in their houses down here. This is a similar thing. We have the ability down here in Brick Township to open businesses locally. So if we can, I wish the governor would give us that ability. We definitely have the ability. He's got to give us the right to do that. So North Jersey, totally different situation. They're more populated. They have a lot more positive cases, a lot more deaths. We have had 100 deaths here in Brick Township. Out of those, it was 85 that were in the nursing homes. So it's 85% of our deaths, and our average age here in Ocean County of deaths is 81.3. So we don't have the situation where we have very large numbers as they do up north. So to give us the ability to open businesses would be great on a local level as opposed to a state one-size-fits-all. So we have bookstores, clothes stores that don't have the ability to have customers coming in, and they might not have the ability to set up an online presence because they're a small-time business. To have 500 people going into a Costco, into a Target, 700 people going into a Walmart and Lowe's, Home Depots, but you can't have 3 people go into a small clothes boutique and be able to pick out what they would like to have. Wearing masks, I understand, you're going to have some restrictions on it, but to me, it just doesn't make sense. The one-size-fits-all of, okay, everybody can open this at the same time, no matter where you are and what your circumstances are. It's just not working here for us, and hopefully the governor sees that light and will give more local control. That seems to be the problem always. It's either national control, state control, where really the boots-on-the-ground people are the mayors and the council people who are here dealing with the residents, with the business owners, trying to keep people in business, trying to not have empty storefronts, and to give us that ability to control that would be very, very helpful. So as everybody knows, we've only had 3 things that we can have in our control as mayors in the state. It's beaches, parks to a certain extent, and short-term rentals. So beaches are open. We have season badges are going very well, and it's going to be a great summer. As far as the parks, our parks are open. Unfortunately, the governor's not given us the right to open up our playgrounds, our basketball courts, or our skate park as of this time. So we're waiting for that guidance of when we can open those things. He did allow tennis courts, so our tennis courts and pickleball courts are open, and our dog park is open. Otherwise, our parks are just open for recreation, walking around. You can't play on the fields, and you can't do the skate park and basketball courts and things. So hopefully that guidance will be coming down soon, and we will address everything with our police chief and go over the safety ramifications and make decisions accordingly. Our farmers market's occurring. It's every Saturday. Please try to check out those vendors. The first week was very well attended. Second week, not so much, but that was because of the rain. We only had 400 or 500 people because of the rain, and in the first week we had a lot more than that. So that's every Saturday, so please check it out at Windward Beach. The governor gave some good news today, and I know our superintendent and our school board will be happy that he has allowed in-person graduations to occur after June 6th. So our superintendent himself had a drop-dead date of July 31st for in-person graduations. So this is right within his timeline of what he's trying to schedule. Unfortunately, we don't know the number So the governor has said that he's going to allow those in-person graduations at the number of gathering allowed at the time of the graduation. So in other words, if that was today, that would be 25. And I'm not sure how the superintendent would handle that. Obviously, July 6th and later, there's going to be a larger number. We just don't know what that number is, unless, of course, the COVID numbers go up or the positives go up and the deaths go up, and then the governor backtracks from that. But otherwise, we don't know what the number is going to be. But be rest assured, everybody out there who has a senior in high school, that there will be some type of in-person graduation, and it's just a matter of how that is going to be performed. And our superintendent has said that is his number one student priority, is the senior graduations. So he's definitely going to be working every day between now and then to figure out what he can do and when. So a lot of great things passed tonight. Thank you for the restaurant ordinance, as well as waiving the fee and allowing it to happen emergently, because hopefully that's in the next governor's announcements. He's going to be talking about things opening on June 1st and as well as June 15th. Some of those things are the restaurants with the indoor dining and or the outdoor dining, at least here in Brick Township and other towns if they pass it, as well as barbershops, salons, all those things he's talking about for either June 1st, June 15th, as long as the numbers keep going down. He schedules these out 2 weeks in advance, these types of openings. He doesn't tell us what they are until they get closer, but he does them 2 weeks at a time, because at that 2-week period, him and the health professionals want to monitor the positives and the deaths and things of that nature, so that in case they can stop at any point, as opposed to opening everything up. But again, if it was in local hands, we could probably do the job better, as we usually do here locally. Thank you, everybody. Be safe out there. Hopefully everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend, and we're looking forward to having a great summer here in Brick Township, as we always do. Thanks.
Mr. Starkey.
Thank you. I don't have anything for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Nothing. Thank you.
Madam Secretary?
Nothing.
Okay. Councilwoman Zapsik.
Thank you, Council President. Like so many of our residents, I was disappointed this year that the COVID-19 pandemic required the cancellation of our annual Memorial Day Parade. It's something that I very much look forward to every year. But I did want to comment on the virtual Memorial Day commemoration that was put together by the Township, and I want to send a special thanks and shout out to the members of the VFW and the American Legion and the other community groups that all came together and recorded segments and for that video. It's very touching. If you've not already seen it, it's about 40 minutes long. And I would encourage everyone to take that 40 minutes to watch the video and remember those who went off to war, Brick's fallen heroes who went off to war and fought for our freedoms and unfortunately did not come back. You can find that through the Township Facebook page or on YouTube. And again, it's 40 minutes of your day well spent remembering Brick's fallen heroes. And that's all I have this evening. Everyone, please stay safe.
Thank you. Councilman Minikino.
Thank you. I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung.
No comments this evening, thank you.
Breezing through here. Councilman Mumolo.
Nothing for me this evening, thank you.
Excellent. Councilwoman Pontorero.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to encourage everyone to continue to utilize the services of our small businesses here in Brick. A lot of them are offering the curbside pickup, drive-through. It's important because these restaurants are really hurting as a result of the pandemic, so any help that you can give them is much appreciated. That's all I have.
Excellent. Council Vice President Halloran.
Thank you, Council President. Just please, everyone, in spite of the fact that we're, opening up different areas of our lives with the beaches and things, please pay attention and continue social distancing and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be very brief this evening. I just wanted to make mention of the fact that yesterday we had the dedication ceremony for our newly renovated monument in front of Town Hall. We were able to gather 25 people, so we had representatives from VFW Post 8867, American Legion Post 348, Disabled American Veterans, and Vietnam Veterans of America, who were part of the group that came together in order to raise money so that we could renovate the monument in front of Town Hall. So we are about three-quarters of the way there. COVID kind of threw us off a little bit, so we didn't get to totally finish, but the parts that were finished are quite beautiful. If you have time and you can come by, I implore you to come and visit the monument. All of the names of our fallen heroes are now dedicated on that monument in a new and improved way. We actually, through the research, found that there were two fallen heroes from BRIC that lost their lives during Operation Iraqi Freedom, that we were able to add their names on, and those family members were represented yesterday during our small ceremony to dedicate the monument, and we were very happy to have them there. Coming soon, we have new seating, new lighting. We're going to do a little bit more grounds work as far as flowers go, and then we should be all set for hopefully Veterans Day in November for everyone to come out and see what that all really looks like. We were hoping to have it all done at this point. Again, we were a little held up because of COVID-19. And finally, in order to get all of this done, it was not just the fundraising through our different veteran organizations. We also had all of the help from our Parks and Recreation crew, our grounds people, our DPW, and our electrician came out to do some of the work in order to make this all happen. So thank you to all of those people that helped with that as well. That's all I have for this evening. Our next public meeting is scheduled to take place on Tuesday, June 9th at 7 p.m. Can I have someone make a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Anyone for second?
Aye.
No. Okay. Did I get a second? Who said aye?
Heather.
Heather. All right. So motion, Councilwoman Pontoriero, second. Councilwoman DeYoung, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're done. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
8:37. I'm out.